There have been numerous film adaptations of the classic tale of the Three Musketeers, and I'm about to talk about one of those, which is celebrating its 30th anniversary this year, the one from Disney. But does it still deserve the hate it got after 30 years? Or can this one be brought to justice? With a little good old fashioned help from the Big D, of course. Find out right now. Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. So, greetings, my fellow YouTubers, and welcome to Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. My name is Doyle, better known to as the Big D, and this time around I bring to you a review of the 1993 action-adventure comedy flick, The Three Musketeers, released by Disney, along with Caravan Pictures and the Kerner Entertainment Company. Directed by Stephen Herrick from a screenplay by David Lowery. In turn, a take on the 1844 novel by Alexander Dumas, starring Charlie Sheen, Kiefer Sutherland, and Oliver Platt as the titular characters, along with Chris O'Donnell, Tim Curry, and Rebecca De Mornay. In other words, it's loosely based on the story. It recounts the adventures of D'Artagnan on his quest to join the three title characters in becoming a musketeer. However, this adaptation simplifies and alters the story. Well, despite it got this big time when it came out on this day 30 years ago, this was released on November 12th, 1993. So henceforth, today's the 30th anniversary. It still became a success in ways. Okay, let's get started. In 1625, young but skilled fencer D'Artagnan sets off for Paris, France in hopes to follow in his murdered father's footsteps and become a member of the Musketeers, the personal guard of the King of France. He is pursued by Gerard and his brothers, accused of blemishing their sister's honor. Meanwhile, Captain Rochefort, of the Cardinal's guards disbands the musketeers per the orders of Cardinal Richelieu, the king's minister, ostensibly to help fight in an impending war with England. Rochefort informs Richelieu that three musketeers refuse to relinquish their duties: Athos, Porthos, and Aramis. Excuse me. Almost mispronounced that. My apologies. In Paris, D'Artagnan rescues the Queen's handmaidens from their own bodyguards, and after a scolding takes to a liking to one, Constance, in the sea, D'Artagnan encounters each of the three musketeers separately, unaware of their identities or association, resulting in a separate duel arranged with each. At the arranged location, Athos, Porthos, and Aramis reveal themselves as musketeers. Before they can duel, a captain of the Cardinal's guard arrives with four other guards to arrest the musketeers. Although D'Artagnan is not stopped by the guards, he allies with the musketeers during the skirmish. The musketeers kill four guards, while D'Artagnan outduels the captain, who falls to his death. Impressed but displeased at D'Artagnan's involvement, the musketeers leave D'Artagnan behind after encouraging him to flee and maintain his innocence. When more of the Cardinal's guards arrive, D'Artagnan is captured. He escapes his cell and eavesdrops on a conversation between the Cardinal and the mysterious Milady de Winter, where the Cardinal plots to supplant the king, tasking Milady with delivering a secret treaty to England's Duke of Buckingham. D'Artagnan is caught by Rochefort without having seen Milady's face. The Cardinal orders him executed for refusing to give up the Musketeers' location, but he's saved by them. As they flee, D'Artagnan reveals the Cardinal's plans. They decide to intercept the spy at Calais and retrieve the treaty to prove the Cardinal's guilt. During a skirmish, the party splits up. D'Artagnan rides ahead to Calais, but passes out from exhaustion and is found by Milady de Winter. He wakes in a bed and stripped of his weapons and clothes as Milady tries to seduce him. D'Artagnan speaks openly of his plans, not knowing she is the spy. She attempts to kill him, but he convinces her to keep him alive. As her party boards the boat to England, they are confronted by the Musketeers. Milady attempts to run away, but is stopped by Athos, who is revealed to have been her first husband, but betrayed her to the authorities when he found out she was branded a murderer. The Musketeers retrieve the tree, and Milady is sentenced to death for the murder of her second husband, Lord de Winter. Just before she is executed, Athos begs her forgiveness. Moved, she reveals the cardinal's plans to assassinate the king at his birthday celebration, then throws herself off a cliff to her death. Athos, Porthos, and Aramis send missives to rally the rest of the musketeers. The cardinal and Rochefort hired a sharpshooter. During the assembly, D'Artagnan interrupts the sniper's shot, which narrowly misses the king. The musketeers reveal themselves, and the cardinal blames them for the attempted assassination. All right, now I'm going to go to the ending of this, so you better prepare yourselves. You have 5 seconds to stop this video. Like always, go to the description box below and fast forward to the time below. As I'm counting down right now, if you've seen this movie already, please continue. Okay, you've been warned. As the three face off with Cardinal's guards, men rush to their aid and reveal themselves as musketeers. The two forces battle as the Cardinal takes the king and queen hostage, shooting Aramis in the chest before fleeing to the dungeon, with Athos and Porthos in pursuit. D'Artagnan duels Rochefort and is disarmed. As Rochefort gloats about having killed D'Artagnan's father, Constance retrieves and throws him his sword, and D'Artagnan promptly kills Rochefort. Athos and Porthos arrive just as the cardinal's boat leaves on an underground river. With the cardinal vowing to return, the boatman then reveals himself as Aramis, his crucifix having stopped the bullet. Aramis moves to apprehend the cardinal, but King Louis punches the cardinal himself, knocking him into the river. The musketeers are reinstated by the king, and D'Artagnan is offered anything he wants. He chooses to serve Louis as a musketeer. Outside the musketeer headquarters, Gerard and his brothers arrive and challenge D'Artagnan to a duel. Porthos reminds him that musketeers not only protect the king and country, but also each other. Gerard and his brothers are then chased off by the entire musketeer division. End of story. So what did I think of the Three Musketeers? Well, I almost didn't have no recollection of watching this years back, but I did actually. I did see this years back in my teens. And I'm gonna say it's kind of underrated and what have you. I don't think this film gets a lot of talk about and what have you, though. So anyway, this had gone through so much production, with Disney, Columbia, and TriStar simultaneously begin development on 3 separate adaptations. But Disney purchased a screenplay for the film by David Lowery for $650,000 after he had already been hired to write the screenplay of the Columbia adaptation. And producer Brad Wyman at Columbia accused Disney of stealing concepts which were its intellectual property. The matter was settled out of court, and the Columbia adaptation was canceled, while the TriStar adaptation was to be written by Joel Gross and directed by Jeremiah S. Chechik, and was to be more adult-oriented and faithful to the original novel than the Disney version. Anyway, despite this film received highly negative reviews from both critics and fans when it was released, it still got to become highly anticipated after Disney announced that its test screenings, which were shown a couple months, showed the most positive response it had ever received from an audience. The film currently sits at 30% on Rotten Tomatoes, saying its starry trio of do-gooders may promise to fight one for all for one, but this film is a slickly unmemorable update bound to satisfy very few. Even film critic Leonard Maltin christened this version Young Swords, as it reunited Charlie Sheen and Kiefer Sutherland after they recently did Young Guns. And the Chicago Tribune said that this version of the Musketeers is plushly mounted, but ineptly ridden, and Cass gallops along like a gargantuan tutti frutti wagon running amok. Entertainment Weekly said the film is livelier than its obvious models, Young Gun films, but as crowd pleasers go, it's plain and synthetic, with little of the vitality or satirical dash that marked Richard Lester's sophistical slapstick version, made in 1974, which I haven't seen, but I might look into it one day. And the film's director Stephen Herrick, who well, who had recently directed The Mighty Ducks for Disney before this, which I believe the previous year, would have been smart to make more of his cues from Oliver Platt's performance. On the few occasions when the film slips into bratish MTV knowingness, it at least has its own cheeky flavor. But neither Platt nor Sheen, the two comedians here, gets enough to do, and the movie turns into a sketchy, no frills retread of the Musketeer myth, as joyless a retro swashbuckler as Kevin Costner's Robin Hood. Despite Tim Curry's dutiful mugging as the evil cardinal, by now these scene-stealing villains are every bit as predictable as the heroes they're supposed to be upstaging. The castle intrigue stuff is bland, the swordplay is poorly filmed, with too much chop editing and too many close-ups. We get the energy of battle without the dance. Well, I understand this and what have you. Yes, it does have its flaws though, but I still feel like it was pretty funny and what have you. It gave me a few laughs as well. Chris O'Donnell got nominated for a Razzie for not best, worst supporting actor, but however lost to Woody Harrelson for Indecent Proposal. Despite the hate it got, the film still made it a success in ways. It made 53 million in the US and 57 overseas. It went on to make 111 million worldwide. After this, there would also be a comic adaptation from Marvel Comics, which came out a couple of months later the following year. There would also be a soundtrack to the film released on Hollywood Records. It would include the big hit single All for Love, which was written by Robert John Lang and Michael Kamen, along with Bryan Adams, who actually does the song along with Rod Stewart and Sting. Of course, Adams recently had done Everything I Do It For You for Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, which also might have not gotten well received much and what have you, but that song did well, and so did this song. That song became a big hit in the US and overseas. Well, in our territories anyway. Now, and of course, Michael Kamen did the score for the film. That was pretty good too. Now, as for our cast, we have Charlie Sheen as Aramis. Now, he was actually originally sought for the role of Porthos. But I'm going to say he's still pretty good and what have you. Yeah, not too bad. Now, Athos is played by Kiefer Sutherland. After, of course, he recently appeared in Young Guns with Sheen and also The Lost Boys. I will say he's good too. And what can I say? It was really, really incredible. Now, Chris O'Donnell plays D'Artagnan, and I'm saying he was good too. Now, the role was actually going to Brendan Fraser, who was the first choice. Brad Pitt and Stephen Dorff also turned down the role until it went to O'Donnell. Other people were sought for parts in this, including William Baldwin, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Al Pacino, Johnny Depp, Cary Elwes, Robert Downey Jr., and even Gary Oldman. Anyway, Oliver Platt plays Porthos, and he's not too bad. Tim Curry does an exceptionally good job as the Cardinal, and I really like that. Rebecca De Mornay played Milady de Winter, and well, she wasn't too bad. Now, as a matter of fact, Winona Ryder was considered for the role, but dropped out, and well, Mornay was cast. And let me tell you something. Sutherland, O'Donnell, and Platt all endured 6 weeks of fencing and writing lessons. Sheen missed this train as he was still filming Hot Shots Part 2, which was released the same year. I know I haven't reviewed that one yet, even though I reviewed the first film. Now, Depp was cast in Chechnik's adaptation at TriStar after Baldwin, Downey Jr., and Sutherland were also considered for the roles. And Oliver Platt had also been approached to play Porthos in that version as well, but it never entered production. Anywho, I'm just going to say the cast is absolutely incredible. We have Gabrielle Anwar as Queen Anne, and Paul McGann as Gerard and Jasak, two roles. Michael Wincott played Captain Rushford, and Hugh O'Connor as King Louis, and Julie Delpy played Constance. Yes, one of her early performances before I got to know her better of her appearance in American Werewolf in Paris. But anyway, that's all I can say. The story's alright and what have you, but the cast is pretty good. The characters aren't too bad. Might be, now there may be some flaws in the film, and that's understanding and what have you. But the music's incredible, and so is its theme, "All for Love." If you've heard that song, then you know what I'm talking about. But with everything said, would I recommend the Three Musketeers from 1993? Well, I'd say give it a one-time watch. That's all I can tell you. If you're not satisfied with this film, try and find another version of the film. The full movie is actually now is currently available on Disney Plus. You can check out there if you've got Disney Plus. But anyway, what did you think of the Three Musketeers from 1993? Let me know in the comments section below. If you liked the video, click the like button, subscribe, and be a part of the Big D Nation. Join me next time when I bring to you a review, well, the first of many book to film reviews I'm doing this week in order to promote the release of The Hunger Games: The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Now I'm going to start off with Beautiful Creatures. So I hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, consider checking out my reviews for these other fun-filled adventure flicks. In the upper left-hand corner is my review of the film that started off a surprise franchise for Disney, and that's Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of the Black Pearl from 2003, or go to the upper right hand corner and see my review of Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, or if you'd like maybe a different kind of tale, go to the bottom left hand corner and see my review of The Princess Bride. And the bottom right hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe. If you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc., then I'm your guy. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya.